Today, I am talking about what to do if you have an ex that doesn't respect your boundaries. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. I'm so happy to talk about this subject because if there's one thing that I love talking about, it's about boundaries and being a badass with boundaries. I love being a badass with boundaries. So let's talk about, I think what people think with boundaries, the biggest myth is that people think that boundaries is for other people. No, no, no. Boundaries is about setting limits for yourself. It's about setting up what you will and will not tolerate. Boundaries is not about telling other people what to do or changing anyone else's behavior. Boundaries is for you. It's for setting the limits for what you will and will not tolerate. Now, why do I love talking about boundaries? Because when you have firm boundaries, it makes you confident AF. It promotes you. It causes you to have an identity. So there's lots of reasons why I love boundaries. So remember that boundaries is not for your ex. It's you know, for you. Okay. So let's talk about what to do if your ex won't respect your boundaries, which is going to happen, right? One of the things that you have to understand is you probably were a people pleaser or you walked on eggshells during the marriage if you had a very contentious relationship or a toxic relationship, unhealthy dynamics, and you didn't communicate well. So you probably have a lot of leftover stuff that you have to work through. The person that you're setting the boundaries up, once you set those boundaries up, that person is not going to be happy with you. And what usually happens initially when you start putting boundaries in place, one of the big things that happens is people go into anxiety and they think the worst, and it usually doesn't happen. But let's just say it does. Let's say that you set up a boundary and that person pushes. Initially, generally speaking, with some people, they will push back against the boundaries because the pattern may be that in the past, when they push back against the boundaries, you gave in. So you have to set up a new dynamic. You have to set up an intention. You have to look at what are the repercussions if this person continues to uh, push against my boundaries or cross my boundaries. And so if they do, you have to figure out what am I going to do. Now, this is the key, y'all. You need to be in a place of of like your highest self and thinking ahead about what you have in place for yourself because it's not about them. So you want to communicate those boundaries with I messages always. I will no longer um, be tolerating you cussing at me on this phone call. And if you continue, I'm going to hang up. So you've got to clearly communicate those boundaries with your I message. And then you also have to set up, well, what if this person, and then you have to follow through, right? So you have to, if that person then continues to cuss at you, you have to be willing to follow through. And then you have to think, okay, so then, what's my next step? If they're going to continue and continue and continue, you have to be willing to not just threaten, but follow through with the action. So you need to be intentional about creating the boundaries, communicating the boundaries in a way that they can respond to and receive, and then you have to follow through. Now, most people, actually, I used to say most people struggle with the follow through, but I would say even communicating, because oftentimes we have the mindset of the boundaries is to change their behavior or to stop them from doing something. And that's not it at all. The boundary is for controlling how you are going to show up or setting the intention for how you are going to manage yourself in that situation. So you got to do a whole mind shift around that. That's key. And then you've got to communicate that, and so that you're coming from a place of responsiveness, not reaction, because oftentimes people provoke and provoke, provoke, because they're looking for you to react and they're looking for that. So you want to be from a different mindset. You want to be from that highest self. And doing the inner work helps you to know that, knowing your triggers and also knowing their triggers. And I helped a lot of clients to understand what their ex's triggers are so that they can communicate a way around that, that it'll be better received and not come off. Because that's the thing. When you say or you tell people how to behave or what they need to do or what they should do or whatever, that comes across as controlling. And instantly people become defensive. Instantly people rebel against that. So you want to come up like, what's their trigger? What's a way that you can communicate that they can receive? And then you want to follow through. And again, if you're coming from a toxic relationship, chances are you've second guessed yourself for 10, 15, 20 years. And so it's very anxiety producing. And they're going to sense that. And they know you're anxious. And they know that if they just say the right thing and do the right thing, you'll cave and you'll do what they want to do. And so it's really important to do the inner work. I worked with this client, and when he came to me, he had a very, very high conflict. They were married at the time, and actually he came to me to save the marriage. And after a few sessions, this was not a healthy relationship. She was not going to work to communicate or improve or work together in any way, shape, or form. And after working with me and understanding his own triggers and his own insecurities and dealing with that and healing that so that he could show up as a present ex-husband, but a present dad, he now, he emailed me actually just recently and said, we're co-parenting really great. Again, I have boundaries. Because I think his whole mindset at the beginning is we're going to be friends after this. But I think now that he's had the space and distance, he's very happy having lots of boundaries with her, with having the co-parenting just only and not being friends. And so that's totally healthy and that's totally okay. And so now his business is flourished. His, relationship with his son is like amazing. And his relationship with her is very straight and narrow. None of that reaction, none of that like crazy back and forth, because he's identified his triggers, he's identified her triggers, and can communicate in a way that she can respond to. And he's just more self-assured, and she knows that about it. She knows she can't rile him up anymore. He's stepped into his power. He's promoted himself. He has a definitive identity now. And that's kind of the problem with a lot of people that don't have boundaries. They don't have a definitive identity. And because he does, she knows she can't shake him down anymore. So doing the inner work is really key here, and understanding, what the toxic relationship left you with lots of second guessing, lots of like walking on eggshells. So it's going to be hard for you to maintain those boundaries if you don't have that identity, if you don't have that confidence, if you don't feel secure in yourself. So, one of the things that we're starting here soon is a Finding Peace Again group program. And this is exactly what we're going to be hitting. I have a whole module where all we talk about is badass boundaries, and so that you can be confident as fuck, so that you don't have to walk on eggshells, so that you know how to show up in every relationship. You know how to show up at work. You're no longer a parent parenting out of guilt and letting your kids walk all over you either. I mean, a lot of times I see that even with parents who go through divorce. They let the guilt override them, and that leads to a very unhealthy parenting relationship. So boundaries are good, boundaries are healthy, and kids need boundaries. People need boundaries. It makes people feel secure and safe around you when you have boundaries. So if you are, divorce guilting parenting a little bit, I get it. I know it's, because you feel guilty about the divorce and you're letting those boundaries slip, you're actually doing your kids a disservice because they're not feeling that sense of safety and security. So kind of remember that. So we have to do a real big mind shift around boundaries, around who we are, identifying ourselves, and healing from toxic relationships. And we have a module, like a whole month that we're dedicating to to, setting boundaries, communicating boundaries, why we're not doing that, and then how to heal from that with actionable tools, actionable strategies. That's what I love about what I do that makes me different, is that there are things, strategies, tools, and exercises and rituals that you can implement into your life today that are going to make a difference tomorrow. We're not just sitting around chit-chatting about your ex-husband and your ex-wife and all the bad things that they did, blah, blah, blah. We're going to, give you actionable homework that you can do and change your life tomorrow. They're life-changing shifts. They're life-changing strategies that you can implement. So I would love to talk to you more about this. So I can set the link down below. An email is going out tomorrow that has like some more information about our Finding Peace Again group program. It is going to be fucking mind-blowing. It's going to transform your life. So if you want to hear some details about it, reach out to me. I would love, love, love to talk to you about it and like what you need and how this group can fit into that and help you in your area. So, all right, any more questions about boundaries? Put them in the group. Reach out to me, send me a DM. I cannot wait. Anything y'all need, I'm here for you. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.